Hello, you beautiful Life Path 6 person. Welcome to your 2025 overview. So, this part is your life sector overview, where we're going to look at all of the different parts of your life and see how your person or how your life path is interacting with the universal 9 year energy. And also, after that, we're going to get into your 12-month breakdown. But before we start, as always, I would like to bless the session itself with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, in terms of your life sector overview in general this year, you might really feel that need to attend to your home and your hearth, just like you like to do anyway. It also sees you might get a chance to do and feel your best. And I will say this year will probably be kinder to you than a lot of others, than a lot of the life path numbers, because nine has an energy that is very similar to your own. Truth be told, all of us are going to have our challenges, right? Life is life. Life always going to be out here life in. But at the same time, this year really asks you to be on hand for the moments where there isn't anybody else, to be the responsible one for what needs to be done. It's also possible that you might be focused on bringing more beauty, more harmony, more balance into your life and into your world. And that really is the best way to go. This year, it really is about looking after or maintaining everything that you have in your life that you really want to stay as a part of your life. And I will say, because this year is going to be that much kinder to you, you might experience this differently. But what I will say is everybody in some way, shape, or form over the course of this year is having a reboot. So just keep that in the back of your mind. In love this year, right? When it comes to this is like the year where you pop the hood, you have a look at the connection, you ask, like, what does it need? What does my relationship need more of? What does my significant other want or need more of, from me? And what do I need more of from them? This is a year to make it easier, lighter, more sensual. In order to do that, you really need to look at and into actually what you feel might be missing. The magic of this year is that it asks you to get really serious about whatever you want to maintain and keep in your life. If you are single, yes, this year you might be a bit more focused on yourself, to really focus on your love life, right? Now, what I mean by this is you might be dealing with a lot when it comes to your family sector, when it comes to your home, maybe even when it comes to your work, especially if you've got like a home-based business. There's going to be a lot of focus on that. And it's not to say that you can't date, because six energy is made to be partnered in some way, shape, or form. It's just to say that there might be other things taking up your focus. And so really it is about finding the balance point for yourself and also asking, what do I actually need from love? What do I really want and desire from a relationship? If you are partnered, right? And it's not to say as well, just to go back quickly, it's not to say for those of you that are single that you can't or that you won't find love. It's just that you probably have a lot going on, which means whoever you do meet is going to need to really be a part of that world and that relationship. When it comes to those of you, that are single, it's almost like this person can see who you are and see what you have to contend with behind the scenes and be ready to still be in the relationship with you. That's what's going to make the best prospects. This is how you're really going to know, yes, this person is for me, because it's like they can step back and say, look, you know what? I see you've got a lot going on. I'm going to be here regardless. So, you attend to what you need to attend to, and we will have time for us when we have time for us. When it comes to your finances this year, it's possible that you might find a family tie or even a child has to rely a little bit more heavily on you financially this year. It's also possible that this year, just show up. The money that you need will absolutely be provided, and for whatever you put out will absolutely find its way back to you. And I will say, keep this in mind as a universal law over the course of this year. When it comes to finances and resources in general, now the 3 and the 5 energy are about spending money on experiences. 6 is about the accumulation of things and stuff. So this is the year where the things that you want and need inside your home, this is a good year to go after it, right? It might even even be a home itself. This is a great year to save. It's a great year to enhance your savings. It's just as easily a great year to think about buying or purchasing a solid home where you can, use that as your base of operations, or your personal power base in some regard. Now, when it comes to the work and the career this year, this is a year really for you to find and build your team, like your team spirit. And also really to show up as part of that team and as an integral part to it. If you can position yourself as the glue that holds the team together this year, that's when the magic will really happen in the work and the career sector. Don't be afraid to take the lead spot. Don't be afraid to really think about what your strength and your skills are, and then over deliver on those, and then delegate the stuff that you know you don't do very well, or that you just don't like, or maybe you don't even have time for. The best leaders aren't just nice or approachable people. They are effective, at the job that needs to be done. When it comes to your health this year, for you guys especially, this year, health has to be a priority. And I say this because the year itself will have a lot to do with pouring from your own cup. And you can't do that if that cup is empty. You never should. When you give of yourself to a point where you're at a low ebb, you eat into your very own life force. Don't pay that cost this year. And the way that you do this is by getting a solid routine in space. Do everything that you know you should. Drink your water, get your rest, make sure you're sleeping well, right? Get really focused on what is possible to control in your remit, and letting go of what isn't, right? And more importantly, enhance what is available to you. The quality of your food, the quality of your water, the quality of your rest. Take responsibility for your own health this year and your own vitality. It's one of the greatest things that you will do, because if you don't this year, I'm sorry to say, but you may find that you really struggle health-wise. You, out of all of the life path numbers, are prone to this kind of energy. So please, 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 whether that's physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, I want you to be really on top of it this year. With that said, stay tuned while we get into your 12-month breakdown. Take care, and I'll see you in a moment. Hello, you wonderful Life Path 6 person. Welcome to your 2025 12-month tarot breakdown. Let's get straight into it. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So remember, you're going to get one destiny card, one direction card for each month of the year. And I love that you guys check in on these every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, however it works for you or speaks to you. I love that you come back and update me on your year and how it's playing out. Always, always much, much appreciated. So your first card out kind of typifies the year that you're going to have, right? It gives you a bit of an overarching theme. And this year you have the Magician. So the power truly lies in your hands this year, right? So what this says is this year is now this is always true, but it's always true that your year, your life is always what you make of it. Absolutely. But when you have the Magician card as your first card out, it means that the power to affect change in your world, in your life, is that much more palpable. Right out of the gate, straight here in January, you are feeling this sense of not necessarily urgency, but you're definitely feeling a sense of the forward momentum that hangs in the air. Now, that is partially because, you'll be tapping into the new year, but also this heralds that your consciousness, your focus for the year ahead is very clearly set in your mind. Now, something that you do need to consider here, we do start the year with a Mars retrograde and Jupiter retrograde. So it's going to be a decidedly slower year for everybody in some way, shape or form. But that being said, there's nothing to say that with your personal power fully in hand, that you can't make it into what you want it to be. All right. Just remember that obviously whatever we're trying to do out in the world usually involves other people. So you will be driving forward in a really dynamic and powerful way, but you might have to wait on other people. And that's potentially where it gets a bit more frustrating. Now, to clarify on that, let's give you some insight. Let's see what comes through in terms of adding some information or weight to this. All right, and you have, that card seems to want out, the Empress, right? So this year, I am fully expecting the Life Path 6 people to have a glow up, like a full-on change of, how you look, just a change in general. This is going to see you really tapping into the power and the spirit that you carry. The Venus energy of the Empress is actually your emblem, right? The number 6 is actually Venusian ruled. In the early days, I thought it was Jupiter, but actually the more I study numerology, the more I understand Venus is very much the number 6. What's really interesting to me is you've got the Magician card. This is you driving something forward. You've got the Empress card, and these two together are seeing you going through a massive evolution of self. In January, you are deciding to do things differently. You're deciding you want to look differently. You're approaching things in ways that are for you personally, this is going to be so clear cut, right? The Empress also represents things like hospitality. This also, because the Magician card represents sales and commercial activities as well, things like marketing, etc. This could be a time where you put something out into the world and it is really greatly received, right? People are seeing it as beautiful, as refined, as not just utilitarian, but it actually looks great at the same time. Whatever you are putting out, whether this is that you're selling yourself, whether this is your business, whether this is your skills at work to your boss, this month, January, straight out of the gate is a powerful energy for you, glowing up in some way, shape or form, which, as a Life Path 6, I'm fairly certain you will be happy about. Now, the other thing that I do want to talk about here, your life path does tend towards really sort of looking after and nurturing others. This year, everybody gets to act like themselves that much more, right? I'm calling this year the reboot of humanity. You'll see why as we talk about the planets as we move forward. This is kind of like where we switch it off and switch it back on again, just to see if it kind of changes anything. That's going to be 2025 in a nutshell, right? Now, as we come into February, on the 4th of February, Jupiter's going to go direct. On the 24th of February, Mars is going to go direct. So that sort of slow start to the year that I was talking about, we're all going to be feeling it right the way through to, the end of Feb. And as I say, don't get too used to it because you're going to see what's going to happen in March. Now, if you want to find out how all of this speaks to your sun, your moon, or your ascendant sign, hit the link in the description box below where you can get your 2025 Astro-Tarot readings. They are up and out there for your purchasing pleasure. It would be amazing for me to be able to serve you in that way. You can also buy them as a bundle, so you can buy your sun, moon, and ascendant. You can buy just one, or you can buy the bundle. It's totally up to you. Now, in terms of February, you have the Judgment card. So this is a big moment, right? February really is asking you, not only do you start the year in a really big, powerful sort of dynamic way, February is taking that further to say, are you ready to close down an old chapter so that you can really begin anew or go in a new direction? You're being called to action here. Now you've got this with the 8 of Swords. This is some kind of liberation, right? The 8 of Swords is about constriction and confinement. It's the things that we're tied to, things that we've been stuck in for a long time or for a long haul. The Judgment card can represent your deep past. And so what this tells me is there's something in your life that in February you will finally decide, I am done with. Right? There's a moment where you're really honest with yourself and you say, I've outgrown this. I understand why I was tied to it. I understand why I was having this difficult experience. I understand what the purpose of it was, but I'm truly ready to transcend this experience now. There's a sense here with this combination, it's like you're liberating yourself from the past, or you feel the need to break with the past in some way, shape, or form. It's like you're saying to yourself, you know what? Yes, maybe that was how I was happy for people to identify me, but I don't see that anymore. And so this could be, you know, maybe you're changing your religion, maybe you're changing your spiritual path, maybe you are, you know, whatever it is that you're doing this in a way that feels sort of really aligned to you. Right, like you feel, it feels like you're seeing yourself, your life path, and your past in general, and you're saying, okay, you know what, it's time to break with that version of myself doesn't exist anymore. So it's a really, you know, February is a really powerful moment for you. Now as we come into March, Mercury is going to go retrograde on the, I think it's like between the 7th and the around mid-month. On the 2nd of the month, Venus is going to go retrograde, which, as I said, don't get used to this direct motion in February because it's not going to stick around for long. As soon as we come into March, Venus goes retrograde. She's going to retrograde in Aries, reverse back into Pisces. We're going to have Mercury go retrograde in the sign of Aries, reverse back into Pisces. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like this, you know, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So there's this switch it off, switch it back on kind of energy in the year. Now, as if that wasn't enough, we also have a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on the 14th of the month. As if that wasn't enough, we also have the last new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries on the 29th of the month. And as if all of that wasn't enough, we have Neptune moving into the sign of Pisces. It's only going to dip its toes, right? It comes in for probably about 2 to 3 months ish, and then it comes back into Pisces. So again, we've got this massive outer planet energy. This is a huge deal. Neptune moving into Aries. It's going to be full time from 2026, but this is a once in a lifetime transit. It takes 14 years to move through a single sign. So we've never seen this in our lifetimes. And once it's done, we won't see it again in our lifetimes. What a time to be alive, right? So as we come into March, you have the Death card. Endings, completions, culminations. This is where you are wrapping it up. Now, what's interesting to me is this, right? You've already decided, I'm ready to break with the past, and this is where you truly go through the inward transition, maybe the inward battles and fights that you have with yourself to say, you know, well, I've been doing this career for the last 15 years, you know, if I suddenly let go of that, who am I going to be? Where am I going to be going in my life? If I'm, you know, if I've been a trained, I don't know, dancer for the last 12 years and now suddenly I'm going to go and become an accountant, or whatever the case might be, right? You're having all of the internal battles and struggles around this in February, but it's probably coming to pass or into actuality or fruition as you come into March. And with such a packed astrological month, it would make sense. If you want to find out how this is going to speak to you, your sun sign, your rising sign, or your moon, you know what to do, right? Check out the Astro-Tarot for the year. Trust me, it's going to get you ready and armed. You've got loads of information in there, right? Now, to clarify on that Death card, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So, truth be told, this may be something that's actually taken out of your control or out of your hands. The Wheel of Fortune can be luck, success, but it can also be where we have a change in our luck. And so whatever's coming to a close at this time, maybe this is that you're being made redundant. And maybe you'd been thinking, you know, I'm tired of this job, I don't want this career anymore. And then your boss comes to you and says, look, by the way, we're having to make layoffs. We're going to sort you a redundancy package and, thank you for your service. Well, suddenly that internal shift and change that you were really preparing yourself for all along starts to come forward. That's one way that this could happen. Another way this potentially shows up is some kind of trip or journey or travel that you had planned for March. I'm really sorry to say, but it looks like it's not going ahead. And this may actually be a good thing. All right. Now, As if that wasn't enough, when we come in, well, should I say, as we come into April, Mercury and Venus are both going to go direct. They'll go direct in the sign of Pisces. At this point, once we get to the 15th of the month, everything will be direct. We can breathe a collective sigh of relief, and this is go time. All right. So I don't want you to sort of rush it before then. Now, for this, you've got the Devil card. What happens when you've been held back for so long, or what happens when you rev a car, rev a car while the brake or the handbrake is on, right? The wheels spin. And what happens when you finally take the brake off? You just end up staying stagnant and the wheels are spinning. Watch out for this, because April, it looks like you're looking to just charge straight into it. When you get to the 15th, then you can start taking forward action steps that are deliberate and they speed up over time. If you just go straight at it on the 15th, hammer and tongs, even if we are with all planets direct, this might be one of those times where it's like you don't have the infrastructure to go that hard just yet. Right? You don't go straight into the gym and start bench pressing 350 pounds, right? You build up to that over a period of sustained effort. So to clarify on this Devil card, you've got this with the Emperor. Watch out for the rules and regulations at this time. There might be something that you really feel that you want or need to rebel against. And it's also possible that maybe, just maybe, you as an authority figure in some way, shape or form are, it's not that you're not performing right, but it may be like this could be an abuse of power, right? I'm sorry to say that, but it is possible, whether this is you, whether it's somebody else. Now, the Emperor does tend to represent the father, the boss, the most important masculine figure in life in some way, shape or form. And with the Devil card, this is a misuse of power. All right, so whether this is whether this is you doing this or somebody else is doing this to you, there's a possibility for that. There's also a possibility that a controlling figure in or around your life is being highlighted in some way and potentially being revealed to be a gaslighter. So, April is going to be a very interesting month. I will say, watch out for watch out for the people that really try to manipulate. All right. Now, as we come into May, Saturn moves into the sign of Aries. So Neptune is a 14-year transit. Saturn is a 3-year transit, but again, it's only going to dip its toes into Aries, then it's going to come back, and then in 2026 it goes in full time. So that's happening in May. For this month, you've got the Lovers card. Love, relationship, partnership is very much going to be on your mind at this time. Whether you're partnered, whether you're partnered, single, or otherwise. Now, interestingly enough, the Emperor card can represent marriage. So I will say, if you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, your relationship could be being called into question in the month of May. Not necessarily because your partner's a controlling narcissist, but just because the relationship itself is a topic of discussion for various different reasons. Now, the Lovers card also represents choice, which means there's a heartfelt quandary that you really need to explore here. Now, you've got this with the Five of Swords. If you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, there are potentially some heavier conversations to have around the relationship at this time. Remember, the Five of Swords is a dispute card. Now, you've got this with the Lovers. If you, any choices that you're making here, what I really want to say to you is, in the month of May, you can't please all of the people all of the time. There is very likely to be a moment where it just gets, it's like whatever you do, you're damned if you do and you're screwed if you don't. Okay? Now, as you come into June, Jupiter, the Lord of growth, abundance, expansion, levity, light, and all of the good stuff, as well as growth and expansion in general, is coming into the sign of Cancer. Now, this is Jupiter's sign of exaltation, which means, and it's once in 12-year transit, so this is good for all of us. In some way, shape or form, we get to really milk it. This is fantastic because it means that we are, what's the word that I'm looking for? We're experiencing the best of the bounty that Jupiter is able to offer. All right, it's a truly wonderful, wonderful transit. Now, that being said, if you want to know how this speaks to you and your sign, you know what to do. So for this, you've got the Moon card. So you will be reflective in the month of June. There's a lot of looking back over things. Maybe for some of you, you're rewriting a relationship or you're reorientating yourself in regards to your history. Now, what's really interesting to me is there's a lot of that kind of energy in these cards, and you start the year with that Magician and that Empress. This is a chance where you really do get to go through a glow up, but it's going to require you to really show up for yourself in a powerful way. And that may very well mean breaking ties with things, places, people, situations that really no longer reflect who you understand yourself to be. So to clarify on this, you've got the Four of Pentacles. June is a month to follow the money. All right, like look at the resources, pay attention to what's happening with the money. There might be some confusion around resources, around finances, whose is what belongs to who, all of that kind of stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that you're dividing assets. It just means that there's something isn't as clear around money as it should be at this time. So ask the questions that you need to. Now, as we come into July, Mercury goes retrograde for the second time this year. It's going to stay in the bounds of Leo. It doesn't go outside of the sign. On top of that, Uranus is moving into the sign of Gemini. This is a once, maybe twice, if you were born with this in your chart. Moving into Gemini, this is a once, maybe twice in a lifetime transit, because it takes around 84 years-ish to move through the whole zodiac. This is a big deal. And again, it's just dipping into Gemini. It will come back out into the last tail end of Taurus yet again. And then in 2026, it goes in full time. So this is a big deal. Now for this, you've got the Emperor again. So whatever's happening in April, you're potentially revisiting or closing down as an experience as we come into July. To clarify on this, you've got the Ace of Swords, yeah. So whatever's taking place in April and whatever carries on through May through July, you're making a solid decision here in the month of July. This is where you are signing on the dotted line, or you're parting ways with something or someone. This is where that cycle of completion of your past really comes to a close. The Emperor card is usually like where you're dealing with legal matters. It can be, you know, lawyers, institutions, legal houses. The Ace of Swords is contracts, right? It's also hard and fast decisions. This could be for some of you where you're deciding to become a boss, where you're stepping into a role of authority in some way, shape or form. So July looks like a pretty decent month for you guys, actually. Now, as we come into August, you have the Justice card, right? So final decisions, July, new contracts, August. The Justice card has been quite active for August, which tells me that on the wider world stage, there'll be some big consideration around either a peace talk, a contract or a treaty that's being signed, or potentially a legal case or a legal matter that really is getting a lot of headlines. Now, you've got the Justice card with the Knight of Pentacles. On a really mundane level, for some of you, this could literally just be that you're buying a brand new car. August is actually a really good time to do this because you're outside of the retrograde windows, so that's really cool. It could literally be that you're buying a new car. It could also be because remember the Knight of Pentacles gives its goods over time. It's not a here and now energy. So what this means is, in a lot of ways, you're getting whatever you're starting now, this is where the new period of your life begins, right? Like everything that happens up until this point, I think is a result of what you set into motion in February. So it's like you start the year with a really clear vision of where you want to go. February, you start really churning and doing that inner work to support that, to create the internal scaffolding for the shifts and changes that you're needing to make externally. and then you go through months of making that a reality, and then in August it's like you finally ink the deal or commit to making that new life that you're so ready for. Now, as we come into September, we've got the second eclipse season of the year. This is on the 7th of the month. We've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. On the 21st of the month, we've got the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So pretty big deal. And for this, you've got the High Priestess. Hidden things revealed. This is where information that comes to light really helps you move forward. Now, to clarify on this, you've got the Knight of Wands. This is you traveling, but undercover, right? This is you, maybe you're taking a trip or a journey, but you're not telling anybody where you're going. Maybe you're taking a pilgrimage. Maybe you're booking the log cabin so that you can finally write your book. Maybe you are, I don't know, traveling to a bucket list destination to meet a secret lover. You know, the possibilities really are endless. What this also tells me is whatever you're doing here in August, you really are making the action steps, but you're doing this behind the scenes. This is where you actually set things into motion, right? Like you start here in August. You know, this is where you really make the decisions and you maybe take the first steps, but this is where production really gets underway in some regard. Now, as we come into October, you've got the Empress. Where did we see this before? In January. So this, I think, is where you start to really feel all of that glow up energy. This could even be maybe you're taking, you know, time out from the public eye to have some work done, right? Or to work on your body or whatever the case might be. Now, to clarify this, oh my gosh, look at that, right? It's the Magician. You have literally the reversal energy. And so what this tells me is this is how you start the year, but this intention doesn't really get underway. You don't start to see those results in terms of the life that you've wanted to create for yourself until you get to October. Don't let that upset you. Don't let that deter you. What it means is this toilet flush that happens between February and July, let's say, it really is clearing out the debris. It really is releasing you from your past. Any form of either actual or soul contract that needs to be cleared is making way for you to really step into your power in a way that maybe you've never experienced before, right? So this is a pretty big deal. And the fact that you have this combination, something that you're putting out into the world or sharing with the world is, again, really greatly received. As we come into November, Mercury goes retrograde for the final time of the year. It's going to retrograde in Sag, come right the way back into Scorpio. Again, if you want to find out how any of these transits speak to your sign, you've got an Astro-Tarot booklet, you've got an Astro-Tarot life sector overview, you've got a 12-month breakdown, you've even got, I can't remember what the fourth component is, your lunations. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there, right? So check them out. So you've got the Wheel of Fortune. This is a change point, right? You had a change point earlier and it brought you some stuff that needed to be worked on. Well, you've got another change point here, and this is where things get really, really good, because you've got this with the Page of Wands. Sag season, so the second half of, let's say the latter half or the latter portion of November is going to be incredible for you. You're traveling here in November for leisure and pleasure. You are having an absolute blast, it looks like. And also, remember, the Page of Wands is a message. It's a herald of some sort that's delivered to you. If you are writing a book, starting a blog, starting a YouTube channel or anything like that, November is the month for you to do this, right? Especially if it's something that you're going back to, because you're tapping into that Mercury retrograde energy. This is a time where if you've got any one of those projects outstanding, blog, book, YouTube channel, etc., this is where you can actually get this finished, where you can do it, you can complete it and throw it out into the world with everything that you have. I love this. The Wheel of Fortune is luck, success, but it's also you found in the right place at the right time. This is a message that reaches you at just the right moment in order to shift things. December, you have the Strength card. So you're finishing the year. needing to have more courage to really see something through to completion. And look at this, it comes up with the 9 of Cups. For those of you that are on a healing journey, whether this is physical, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, or whatever the case might be, December is a month where you finish the year going, you know what, yes, it was a tough but monumental year, but actually I feel like more like myself than ever before, and I feel like I am totally healed, right? You are going to be firing on all cylinders by the time you get to the end of this year. You know, for me personally, but maybe this is because this is the way that my personality is, if I had this year, I would be jumping for joy, because this is a paradigm shift. This is you really going into a brand new life experience, one that maybe you never even believed was possible for you. On another level, this is having the courage, the strength card, to live life, or to rather to live the life that you know you genuinely desire and deserve. So your last quarter of the year is absolutely phenomenal, right? So in terms of your challenge months and your power months, February, challenge month. March, April, May, June, challenge months. I think July is neutral. I think August is neutral. I think September is neutral. And then your power months, January, I am in love with. October, I'm in love with. November, December, like just literally, you have a monumental, and probably out of all of the life path numbers, I would say yours, and there's one other number, I can't remember which one it is now, but I would say you have probably one of the best years. Maybe not in terms of like, oh yeah, like these are the most amazing things that are happening, but in terms of change and transformation and life path direction and how you complete this year in that last quarter, you have one of the best readings I've done. Now, in terms of your Human Design Oracle deck Key to the Year card, this is kind of like an extra key bit of information that the universe wants you to know. And for this, you have the Gate 54 and Ambition. So the message behind this card is to follow your ambition and let it carry you forward, to know that those difficult periods are actually advancing you way more than they probably are showing themselves to at the time. And this is a money card, right? So what this tells me is your resources this year, providing you do the work that you need to do, there is advancement here that could absolutely translate into money. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year. Check in month by month, every 3 months, every 6 months, however it speaks to you. Let me know in the comments. Get your Astro-Tarot readings. With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.